What's the difference between good trim paint and the cheap trim paint? Watch this video and find out. Here we have the top trim paint from Sherwin-Williams up against the cheaper trim paint from Home Depot. We're gonna put the expensive trim paint on this side and the cheaper trim paint on this side, and I'm gonna show you the importance of having a high quality trim paint for any interior project that you're gonna tackle. So for this little test that we're gonna do, I got the same exact color so that you could see the results firsthand. They're both in Repost Gray by Sherwin-Williams. So first things first, I'm gonna test out the Emerald Trim Urethane from Sherwin-Williams, and that's the top trim paint. We're also gonna do 2 coats on each side. Now it's time for the cheaper paint on this left side. Oh yeah, I can already tell the difference. And now we wait for the paint to dry and we'll do our test. One thing that I can already notice right off the bat with this cheaper paint is it has a lot of streaks and it's not covering as well compared to this other side where it's covering really well on the first coat. So once we apply that second coat, I can imagine that this more expensive trim paint is going to look really good with no streaks whatsoever, while the cheaper side, not so much. And one thing I also noticed about the cheaper trim paint versus the more expensive is that this was thicker and covered really well, and this was very, very thin and really hard to work with. It was almost runny. Alright, so we've allowed this paint to dry on both sides, and one thing that I'm also noticing about the cheaper paint is that even after letting it dry, it's still a little tacky, so we'll see how this second coat does. So this is coat number 2 for the more expensive trim paint and a little bit cheaper trim paint. Let's do it. So now coat number 2 is on both sides, and I use the same exact application, same amount of coats, same color, everything, same brush. So now we wait for the results. We're gonna test out a little scuff test and see how durable these paints are. All right guys, we got 2 coats of the higher quality trim paint versus the lower quality trim paint, and I'm gonna do a quick little scratch test and let you see the difference. We got the lower quality right here. You can see a significant amount of scratching there. Oh yeah. So that's scratching off pretty easy. You can see that right there. And that's fresh. That's just now, and it's coming right off. Now let's do and try out the more expensive trim paint. Very minimal. You can see right there, just a little scratch right there, but not near as bad as this side where it was coming right off. It's not a huge difference, but it's a slight difference between the more expensive trim paint from Sherwin-Williams, Emerald Trim Enamel, versus the cheap stuff from Home Depot. You can see those scratches there. It's just not quite as durable, takes longer to dry, it's still tacky. Like this has 2 coats and we've given it plenty of time to dry. You can still hear tackiness on it. This side covered better on the first coat and it's not sticky whatsoever. So I would say that a clear winner is gonna be the more expensive, higher quality trim paint. So spend a couple extra dollars and get the higher quality trim paint. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm Matthew with Swift Painting. Leave a comment below. We always appreciate that, and we'll see you next time.